You'd think with all this new tech, cars would last forever. Wrong. They're failing faster than ever. And the reason isn't neglect, it's design. Thin metals, plastic parts, computers doing dumb things, engines that should last 250,000 miles are dying before 100,000. Transmissions that used to cost $1,500 now fail for $6,000. Stick around. These are the 21 most dangerous car features that destroy reliability and lifespan, and the last one's a silent killer. Feature number 21. Push-button gear selectors. You wouldn't believe how many cars roll away because drivers thought they were in park. These new electronic buttons and switches look slick, but they've caused more confusion than anything I've seen in decades. A simple lever you can feel in your hand never lied to you. These buttons, though, they depend on sensors, circuits, and software that can glitch or lag for a split second, long enough for the car to move when you think it's locked in. In the shop, we've replaced transmission control modules that failed just from coffee spills or a little corrosion under the console. One drop of soda, and the shift logic goes haywire. Repairs can run $600 to $1,500 depending on the make. And when the backup system fails, you can't even push the car out of the bay without tricking the system. That's not progress. That's a headache. I'll give credit where it's due. A few makers like Honda and Lincoln built safety interlocks that work well, but most cut corners to save space. The result? Drivers who think their car's in park when it's not. And if you think electronics in the shifter are bad, wait until you hear what happens when the engine turns itself off at every red light. Feature number 20. Start-stop systems. Most modern cars nowadays come with this feature, but I'm sure the majority of you don't like it either. And for good reason. Every time the engine shuts off and restarts at a stoplight, it's putting extra strain on components that were never designed for constant cycling. Starters, bearings, and crankshafts take the hit, especially in city driving where that system activates hundreds of times a day. I've torn down engines with uneven wear on bearings and timing chains, all thanks to repeated hot restarts. Oil pressure drops to zero each time the engine stops, then slams back up when it fires again. That momentary dry start adds up over years, leading to rough idle, noise, and early failure. Sure, it saves a few drops of fuel, but long-term, it costs thousands in wear. Some automakers do it right by using beefed-up starters or electric oil pumps. But there's another feature out there that silently destroys reliability even faster. Feature number 19. Turbochargers on small engines. Tiny engines with big turbos sound great on paper. More power, better fuel economy, at least that's what the brochure says. But when you push a small motor to do the job of a big one, it doesn't last. That turbo spins over 150,000 RPM, baking the oil every time you shut the car off hot. Over time, that cooked oil clogs the feed line, starving the bearings, and then, boom, there goes your boost and half your engine with it. I've pulled apart small turbo engines with sludge packed in the return lines, seals blown, and compressors coated in carbon dust. Owners thought they were driving gently. The truth is, short trips and cheap oil kill these fast. A replacement turbo? That'll run around $2,000 to $3,000, not counting labor. Now, the good ones use water-cooled housings and proper oil filters, which help a lot. But deep inside modern engines, there's another sneaky system that fails when you need it most. And you can't even pull it manually. Feature number 18. Electronic parking brakes. These systems look fancy until the day they don't release, and you're stuck in the driveway. They replace a simple cable and lever with motors, sensors, and modules. Sounds convenient, but when one of those fails, it locks your wheels solid. I've had cars towed in because the owner couldn't move them an inch. Moisture and corrosion are the biggest killers here. The motors sit low, near the rear axle, right where road salt and grime collect. Once those connections corrode, the motor burns out trying to release the brake. That's a $700 to $1,200 repair just to fix something a simple cable once did for decades. And if the battery dies, you can't release it without a scan tool or a special override procedure most people don't even know exists. Some brands, like Subaru and Toyota, built more reliable systems with manual backup releases, credit where it's due. But the next feature? It takes something we rely on every day and makes it weaker from the start. Feature number 17. Run flat tires. Run flats were supposed to be the future of safety. Drive even after a puncture. Sounds perfect, right? But here's the truth. They ride rough, wear fast, and cost a fortune to replace. The stiff sidewalls that let you keep driving also make the ride harsh, rattling suspension parts and wheel bearings long before their time. I've seen cars come in with cupped tires and cracked rims, all from the extra shock these things send through the chassis. Once they go flat, you've got maybe 50 miles at low speed before they're junk. And since most shops refuse to patch them, you're buying new ones, often $300 or more each. They also weigh more, which kills fuel economy and stresses struts. Mechanics can't rotate them as easily either, so wear gets uneven. A few luxury brands do them right with softer compounds, but those are rare. And there's another design trend that looks beautiful on the lot, but can drain your wallet from above. Feature number 16. Panoramic sunroofs. These giant glass roofs look amazing in showrooms, but they're a ticking time bomb for reliability. The bigger the glass, the bigger the risk. Heat, UV rays, and constant flexing make the seals dry out and crack. Once that happens, water creeps in, slowly at first. Then suddenly you've got soaked headliners, shorted sensors, and a moldy smell you can't get rid of. The tracks and motors that slide those heavy panels? They wear fast. One jammed guide or broken cable and you're staring at a $1,500 repair bill. Some even explode from thermal stress when parked under hot sun, leaving glass shards everywhere. And over time, that extra weight up high throws off handling and puts strain on the roof structure. Owners think keeping them closed all the time helps, but that actually dries out the seals faster. The real fix? Regular cleaning, silicone grease, and praying those drains never clog, because what's coming next can't be fixed with a tube of lube. Feature number 15. Touchscreen climate controls. Who thought replacing real buttons with screens was a good idea? Touch controls look sleek, but they're a nightmare to use on the road. Instead of reaching and clicking a knob, you've got to stare at a screen, tap tiny icons, and hope it registers through sunlight or gloves. That's not convenience, that's distraction. I've had customers complain about screens freezing mid-drive, leaving them stuck on full heat or cold air. When those systems fail, you can't just replace a $10 switch anymore. You're swapping a $1,000 infotainment module, and half the dash has to come out to reach it. Fingerprints, dust, and lag make it worse. Every tap adds frustration, and over time, the touch sensors wear out. Even minor software bugs can make the AC misbehave or the defroster stop working right when you need it most. And as bad as that sounds, the next feature doesn't just annoy you, it eats transmissions alive from the inside. Feature number 14. CVT transmissions. Now this is one of the features that I advise people to keep last on their list. They fail terribly in brands like Nissan and a few others that rush the design. The idea behind a CVT sounds smart. Smooth shifting, better fuel economy, but in real life they just don't hold up. The belts and pulleys run on friction, not gears. Once that metal belt slips or the fluid starts breaking down, it grinds itself apart from the inside out. I've opened CVTs with metal dust floating in the fluid, bearings shot, and the pulleys scored deep. No rebuild kit saves those. Most shops just replace the whole unit for anywhere from $3,000 to $6,000. And if you tow, climb hills, or drive hot weather, it goes even faster. The worst part? Many owners skip fluid changes because they're told it's lifetime. That's a lie. Every 30,000 miles, it needs fresh fluid, period. But the next feature doesn't just wear out parts. It changes how your car listens to your foot, and not in a good way. Feature number 13. Electronic throttle control. This system replaced the simple throttle cable with sensors and wires, and that's where the trouble starts. When you press the gas, you're not actually moving a plate. You're sending a signal. If that signal gets delayed or corrupted, the engine reacts late or not at all. I've had cars stall mid-turn or surge forward because of bad throttle sensors or dirty connectors. Moisture, heat, or even a weak battery can throw the readings off. The computer then panics, cuts power, and flashes a warning light that scares the driver. Cleaning the throttle body helps for a while, but once the motor or sensor goes bad, replacement can cost over $700. It also dulls the connection between your foot and the engine. That instant response older cars had? Gone. Many owners describe it as a rubber band feeling when they accelerate. And if you think that's unsettling, wait until you hear about engines that shut off half their cylinders while you're still driving. Feature number 12. Cylinder deactivation systems. This one was sold as a fuel saver, but it's one of the biggest engine killers out there. The idea is simple. Shut off some cylinders when cruising to save gas. But in reality, it messes with oil flow, temperatures, and wear patterns. I've opened engines with lifters collapsed, cam lobes chewed up, and oil passages full of sludge because of this system. When those lifters stop working right, they stick, causing a loud ticking sound that soon turns into a misfire. Repairing that means tearing into the engine, often a $3,000 to $5,000 job. And the problem doesn't just stop there. The constant switching between active and inactive cylinders creates vibration that slowly wears out motor mounts and bearings. Manufacturers promise savings, but most drivers barely notice a difference at the pump. What they do notice is a rough, idle, warning lights, and an engine that's slowly eating itself from the inside. Feature number 11. Direct injection without port injection. Now this one looks great on the spec sheet, more power, better fuel efficiency, but it hides a dirty secret. Engines that use direct injection alone spray fuel straight into the cylinder, skipping the intake valves completely. That means those valves never get washed by fuel anymore. Over time, carbon builds up like concrete on the valve stems. I've cleaned intakes so packed with soot that air could barely pass through. When that happens, power drops, idle turns rough, and misfires start popping up. Most owners think it's bad gas, but it's baked on carbon. Walnut blasting is the only real fix, and it costs around $600 to $1,000 every 50,000 miles. That buildup also raises combustion temps, which can melt catalytic converters or trigger engine knock. It's one of those designs that saves the automaker money up front but costs the owner big down the road. And what's coming next takes that pain and adds moving parts that cost double to fix. Feature number 10. Active suspension systems. These systems promise a smooth ride, but when they fail, they hit your wallet hard. Active suspensions use sensors, pumps, and control units to adjust firmness on the fly. Sounds great until one shock leaks or the compressor burns out. Then the whole system goes limp, leaving the car sagging on one corner like a tired mule. Each strut can cost over $1,200, and many systems require all four to be replaced together. The electronics that control them aren't cheap either. Once they corrode, it's game over. I've seen cars with perfect engines scrapped just because the suspension repair cost more than the car's value. And here's the kicker. These systems don't like neglect. If fluid or air pressure drops even slightly, wear multiplies fast. Drivers notice nothing until it's too late. The next feature may not cost as much to fix, but it makes your steering wheel feel less and less like it's connected to the road. Feature number 9. Electric Power Steering, EPS. Steering used to be simple: fluid, pump, and a belt. Now it's all wires, sensors, and little motors doing the work. Electric power steering feels light, but when it goes bad, it fails fast and without warning. One moment you're driving straight, the next the wheel stiffens like concrete. The assist motors heat up, sensors lose calibration, and steering angle modules short out from moisture. I've had cars come in with intermittent power assist, turning fine 1 minute and locking the next. The fix? Usually a full column or rack replacement, easily $1,500 to $2,500. And because it's tied into stability control, one fault can trigger half a dozen warning lights. The lack of feedback is another killer. You can't feel what the tires are doing anymore, which makes small slips in the rain harder to catch. But that dull, disconnected feeling gets worse when the transmission itself starts thinking for you, and failing while it does. Feature number 8. Dual clutch transmissions, DCT. These gearboxes shift lightning fast, but they age like milk. A DCT uses 2 clutches to pre-select gears, giving that quick snap you feel during acceleration. But those clutches wear out fast in traffic or heat. Every slow crawl, every stop-and-go jam cooks the clutch packs and the control module that runs them. I've seen cars shudder, jerk, or stall at lights because the clutches can't grab cleanly anymore. Once the mechatronic unit fails, you're facing a $3,000 to $5,000 repair, sometimes more than the car's worth. And to make it worse, many of these units are sealed, so you can't even change the fluid without special tools. Even gentle drivers aren't safe. City driving and short trips still build heat that destroys these systems early. The shifting feels sharp, but it's the kind of sharp that cuts your wallet open. And what's next affects something you rely on every single night behind the wheel. Feature number 7. Auto-dimming or LED matrix headlights. Gone are the days when drivers could actually control everything. Tell me, why would you need sensors to decide when to dim your own headlights? These systems sound smart, but when the sensors fail or get dirty, they either blind oncoming traffic or leave you driving half-blind. I've had customers complain their lights flicker, pulse, or stay dim for no reason, and it's all because a camera on the windshield can't see properly. Moisture, bugs, or even a dusty lens can throw the system off. Replacing a single LED matrix unit can cost $1,500 or more, and you can't just change a bulb anymore. It's an entire sealed assembly, one cracked lens or shorted driver board, and that fancy lighting tech becomes a nightmare. These setups take away simple control and add expensive failure points. And the next feature? It doesn't just control your lights, it controls access to your entire car. Feature number 6. Keyless entry systems. Keyless entry sounds like convenience. Walk up, pull the handle, and you're in. But here's the truth. It's one of the biggest security holes ever put in modern cars. Thieves don't need to break glass anymore. They just use a cheap relay device to capture your key fob signal from inside your house. Within seconds, your car unlocks and starts like they own it. No noise, no damage, no trace. I've seen this happen over and over. Good cars stolen right from driveways. And the owners can't believe it because the car was locked. These systems also fail when the key battery dies, leaving you stranded with no way to start or even open your own car. A simple metal key never had these problems. The more electronic your access becomes, the easier it is to lose control of your own car. And the next feature? It hides a problem right where your oil meets the road. Feature number 5. Plastic oil pans and valve covers. Who thought it was a good idea to put plastic near boiling oil? I've seen more engines ruined by this cost-cutting nonsense than I can count. Plastic oil pans and valve covers warp, crack, and leak over time, especially with heat cycles and vibration. Once they start leaking, oil seeps onto sensors, belts, and exhaust parts, causing smells, smoke, or even fires. Back in the day, we used metal pans that lasted the life of the engine. Now, automakers use plastic to shave off a few pounds and a few dollars, at the cost of your car's reliability. And here's the kicker. The plastic expands differently from the metal block it's bolted to, so the gasket never seals right for long. You might think a little oil drip is no big deal, but it's the first warning shot before bigger trouble. And the next feature? It kills engines quietly, even when you think it's saving fuel. Feature number 4. Engine stop-start with mild hybrid systems. Now, this one's marketed as eco-friendly, but I've seen what it really does under the hood. Every time your car shuts off at a stoplight, oil pressure drops to near zero. The moment it restarts, the engine's spinning before oil can fully circulate. And that repeated dry start slowly wears bearings, timing components, and even turbo seals. It's like giving your engine a mini heart attack every red light. The mild hybrid systems that assist these setups add even more complexity. Extra batteries, starter generators, and software that all have to talk perfectly to each other. One glitch, and your car either won't start or it shuts off mid-drive. People think they're saving fuel, but the truth is, the wear and tear costs far more in the long run. You can disable the system, but most cars turn it back on automatically. And the next feature? It's a design flaw that can destroy your entire engine in one snap. Feature number 3. Timing belts in interference engines. This one has wiped out more engines than bad oil changes ever did. In an interference engine, when that timing belt snaps, the pistons and valves slam into each other. It's instant death. bent valves, cracked pistons, sometimes even a broken head. 1 second it's running fine, the next it's junkyard metal. These belts don't last forever. Most are rated for 60 to 100,000 miles, but heat, oil leaks, and neglect eat them alive faster. I've seen belts turn brittle, shed teeth, or snap clean in half because someone thought they'd change it next service. If you've got one of these engines, change the belt on time. Replace the tensioner, idler, and water pump too. A $600 service can save you from a $4,000 rebuild. Keep an eye for belt dust around the cover. That's your warning. And the next feature? It hides behind your screen, yet it ruins cars faster than any worn belt ever could. Feature number 2. Overcomplicated infotainment systems. These giant touchscreens are turning simple drives into tech support sessions. What used to be one knob for volume and one button for defrost now takes 3 taps and a software update. And when the screen freezes, which it will, you lose everything. Climate control, backup camera, even basic radio functions. I've seen cars towed into the shop just because their infotainment crashed and locked out the ignition. Some replacement screens cost over $2,000, and most aren't stocked locally. They're tied into the car's main computer, so even a small glitch can trigger a dozen warning lights. Dust, heat, and moisture kill these systems faster than people think. Once the warranty's gone, it's all out of pocket. Keep the software updated and avoid spraying cleaners on the screen. That's about all you can do. And the last feature? It's the silent killer under your timing cover, and it doesn't fail quietly. Feature number 1. Plastic timing chain guides and oil pump gears. This right here is the quiet killer of modern engines. Plastic parts inside the timing system have no place near hot oil and metal chains. Over time, heat cycles make those guides brittle. They crack, they crumble, and when they do, the chain slaps, skips a tooth, and your engine's done. You'll hear it first as a cold start rattle that fades after a few seconds. That's the chain eating the guide. Ignore it, and you'll soon have metal in the oil and a repair bill north of $3,000. The oil pump gears made of plastic? Same story. One hard rev, and they shatter, starving the engine of pressure in seconds. You can't see the damage until it's too late. The only defense is early oil changes and good filters. Some owners swap in metal guides. Smart move if you plan to keep the car long-term. And that's the truth. Today's engines fail not from mileage but from shortcuts in materials. Every one of these features shows how far cars have drifted from simple, solid engineering. Don't get fooled by fancy tech. Reliability still wins. If you learned something today, hit like, share this video, and subscribe to the channel. Now click the next video below. Your engine will thank you.